Well, hi, good morning. Welcome to my shop, and let me unveil what we're going to be working on here for the next while. This fantastic radio, I love these big old radios. I love these big cabinets and the big radios that are in them, and this is a fantastic one. So we're going to have a look at the cabinet and the radio as you see it now before I try taking the insides out or do anything else to it. We're just going to examine it and talk about these radios, these big radios. They're a big problem to have in your house because they're gigantic and they take up a lot of space. And if they're not working, wow, it's dead space. But if you can make one of these guys work, it can be a useful item in a person's house. Well, something they can have some fun with, let's put it that way. So we look at this radio. This has got all the features that I just love. So let's get a little closer here. Maybe I'll do this as if I was finding this at a yard sale. If this was sitting at a yard sale and I was considering buying it, first thing I want to know is what's the guy want for it. Let's say he wants $100 for this radio. Well, that would pique my interest a lot because I know if he wants 100, I can probably get it for much less than $100. Now, I'm a particular kind of person. I got a shop here. I can fix these things up. So the value of these radios is different for me than from somebody who's just trying to get one and isn't able to fix it up and make it work and stuff like that. So I would look at this and I would see right away, okay, knob's missing. Not a problem for me. Little plates are missing from here. One of them is still there, but there's not really a problem for me. If you look at the damage on the cabinet, if you look at it, you'll see that most of the damage is on the trim parts. The actual wood part here, the flat wood part, is in fantastic shape. It's in great shape. All down here, this is all great. The sides over here, all great. A little hard to see in the dark here, but no damage. So, but the damage that's on it is detracting. Your eye goes to this stuff. Your eye goes to all this stuff here. So it doesn't look like something you'd like to have in your home. But what I know is that this can be fixed up really easily. All these little nicks and marks can be made to disappear with even just a brown felt magic marker would do it even. But there's other products you can put on to make these little marks and scuff marks disappear. This part could be repainted easy enough. It would look fine. And you notice the most serious stuff is way down at the bottom here. Down the bottom trim, which of course has taken kicks and all kinds of bangs. This can all be repainted and will look great. And it's not much work. I guess that's the point I want to make. Not much effort to make this guy look fantastic. People's eyes will pop out. But as long as it's got these little nicks and marks, it looks beat up. It's really not that beat up. So I would beat the guy down on his price using those kinds of things. I'd say, look, this guy's missing his knobs. That, I don't know, does it work? I keep asking, does it work? He doesn't know if it works. He'll say, I don't know. I don't know, $100 for this big thing. I don't know. It's all scratched up down here. Jeepers creepers, Beat him down with that because these problems I'm talking about are minor things. Okay, let's look in the back. Oh, you know what? We need to look at the very top. Very close look at the top. Always take a close look at the top. So, now, this is in really good shape. I mean, this guy's from 1945, I'm guessing, something like that. And to be in this kind of shape at this point in time is fantastic. There's no terrible damage. Yeah, looks like cat claw marks here. That's what those look like to me. All this stuff again can be made to disappear. It's just easy to make it disappear. There's nothing bubbling up here. It's fantastic. These aren't even what do you call it? The thin sheet of wood you put on the veneer. These aren't even veneer. This is a piece of wood here. This is veneer because you can see the beautiful bend in it here. And there's another lovely bend in this radio right down here, which gives your eye a straight line across here to see. Fantastic. You know what else? Just looking at it, I'm going to look at this design down here, this pattern. I think they're trying to symbolize the sound coming out of the speaker. That's what that looks like to me. This looks like waves of sound coming out of the center here, and expanding outwards. I think the guy who did that, who came up with that design, was thinking like that. Who knows? I don't know. I'm just making that up. I like making stuff up. Okay, I'm going to turn this radio around, and we're going to look at the business side of it. Now, this is my radio. I own this guy. He was given to me by somebody who couldn't bear to throw it away. They're going to throw it away. But they couldn't bear to do that. So they managed to find me just doing an internet search. Somebody here in Aurelia where I live. Okay, so this is my first time looking at the receiver side of things. Get a little bit of a more powerful light going here. First of all, take that light away. Look at this. The Ajax. I can't say I've ever seen a sticker like this on a radio. You can just declare the name of the radio here. The Ajax. Or the Ajax. Ajax is, well, it probably has a couple of meanings, but here in Ontario, Ajax is the name of a small city. I used to live near it, actually. And Ajax was a city built in the 40s to house people working in the defense industry that was built up outside of Toronto in this location that became known as Ajax. It was named during the war. So that's the story there. After the war, all that war industry was sitting there idle, and it was turned into industries, domestic industries, including a fairly big radio production industry in Ontario. And maybe that's why this is called the Ajax. Maybe it came from there. I don't think so. We'll find out. It probably says where it was built here on the sticker. Okay, let's take a look here. So, very dusty radio. What is this stuff? Oh my gosh, here's the pointer. Well, it's there. That's good. It could have easily been lost. Well, this is a depressing thing. Now, this is wire that... What has gone on here? Somebody has tied a wire. Can you see this? The wire is super thin. Bare wire. He tied it to here and then tied it to a terminal on the capacitor there. What were they thinking? Oh my gosh. Okay, well, we're going to leave it like that for now. When it's on my bench, we can deal with this wire thing. So here's the string from the radio, just all laying idle here. It's just sticking way out over here, so the string is totally off, probably broken. Here's the lights. So the lights are hanging here because somebody didn't bother putting them back on after pulling them off. Why would they even pull them off? This wire is going way up to the top here where the push buttons are. What is going on? Come on down a little further here. Let's take a look. I'm just collapsing my tripod here in case you're wondering. Oh, while we're down here, let's take a look at the speaker. And I will get that light. Okay, so the light is just too much of a spotlight, it seems. Okay, let me just shine it like this. Some more light on the topic. So speakers here. It's got a big coil here to generate the magnetism for the speaker. That's the output transformer located here. And here's the wires coming up. 3 wires coming up with a plug here on the speaker. Very good. If you take a look at the power cord, not much of a power cord. It's just cracked to pieces here. So this radio has not been operated for a long time because this cord, look, it's totally shorted here. I mean, there's no way this thing's been plugged in for a long time. So whoever did this wiring thing did it decades ago. This is like something a kid would do. I don't know what it is. It's pretty strange. What's this over here? like it must be an antenna wire. It comes down here, and then down by the speaker, on the speaker board, you can see a wire running around it, and it just ends here. It also ends here. And up at the top here, going across, lots of wire going around. They just basically took every opportunity to put in a piece of wire for an antenna. It goes all the way around here a couple times. It comes up. Wait a minute. So here's two wires here. Yeah, we'll have to study this a little more carefully in the, you can guess that this is the antenna lead, and why this going here, don't know. Could be there's a series of antennas in here, more than one antenna. And I don't know how this wire here makes it, or this one here makes a connection to the radio. Something to watch out for. And very oddly enough, the radio has got a bracket over here. Right here. That's very strange. Angle bracket on the outside. These things are usually bolted from underneath. Yeah, there's a big bolt underneath here. Don't quite know what the deal is there. Somebody took this chassis out. They had to pull the knobs off. The knobs never made it back on, and they're not here with the radio. I was hoping maybe I'd find them stuffed in a bag back here, but no. And the radio has the push buttons up at the top here. Those are connected just by these three wires. Now, typically, the way this goes is different. So these could be in the wrong position here, because my experience with these kind of chassis, these wires going to push buttons, is the center wire is a ground lead, and it goes to the center. It's not on the center here. And the wire that's towards the back goes to the front, and the wire that's towards the front goes to the back up here. And these are done differently, but there's no reason to think they're done correctly. Somebody pulled the chassis out, and that's why the knobs got taken off. These wires would have been pulled out, and then they would have been scratching their heads. How do we put those back in? So they would have put them in randomly. That's probably what I got here. It's got all of its tubes, I think. Yeah, I don't see any empty sockets. Nothing looks smashed or loose. Ooh, take that back. This guy's loose. Now, how could that be loose? Now, obviously, if you're at a yard sale, you wouldn't be able to do this amount of stuff. If this were at a yard sale, just going back to that idea, I would be looking for, does it have all its tubes? Does it have any obvious damage, like one of the cans is smashed over? Does it have a pointer? It does. From the front of the radio, I'd be turning the knob to see if the pointer moves when you turn the tuning knob. It's just making different assessments of it. It has a magic eye in it, which is kind of a nice feature, but chances are the magic eye is dead. And having discovered this now, you gotta wonder, how does this happen? These cans are usually bolted down on each side. There'd be a single bolt going down in the middle here. For this to be loose like this, somebody will have to remove the bolt, the nut. Why didn't they put it back on? Maybe too difficult to get in there and do it. They just got one on and thought that's good enough. Or there's more to the story here. Somebody uncovered this years ago and took a look at it and went, ooh, a shot. That would be bad. Is that really the case? I don't know. We got the antenna here. What is this? What's all this stuff? It's got a red dot and an orange dot and no dot in the middle. Offhand, I don't know what that is. Take a look at this. It's really cool. I think this is really cool here. Okay. The guy's signature right there. So often these things have a number or a stamp or something like that of the inspector who inspected it. But this one actually has the guy's signature. It looks like R.G. something. Down here is another guy's mark. And I'm not sure what's going on there and there, but here we can read this. Mohawk radio. Can I get it up really close? You can read it better on the screen than no, I can't get up close. We'll do that when we get up on the bench with it. Okay, so now, would I buy this radio? Me, personally, for $50, I would snap it up at a yard sale in the condition we see it in. I would grab it. $100, I'd be a little more hesitant. You know, I have to explain this to my wife. That's a bit of a problem. $100 would be a little much for me. I'd be tempted. Because I'm pretty sure I can make this thing look like it's worth $500 when I'm done. But of course, nobody's got $500 to throw at these radios these days, or do they? Is there somebody out there with a lot of money? Anybody got a lot of money? Want to buy my $500 tube radio? No. Okay. So I'm going to get the chassis out of here, get it up on the bench. We'll take a closer look at it and really start assessing this thing in terms of what it might take to make it work. Because I certainly plan to make this guy work, for sure. Okay. So I've taken out this single big bolt right out of the middle here. And I've taken one screw off from this bracket. So this is the only thing that's really holding this radio in. And it could rotate a bit. So I guess the side bracket is to fix the radio from being loose this way. That's my thinking. So I've done that. Big bolt. Put it here. It should be ready to come out. I've disconnected these 3 wires. Pulled out the speaker plug. She should be ready to come out. So I'm going to grab the power transformer and see if I... No. Well, there's another screw here. Another bracket, another screw. This one's only partially in. So it almost looks like somebody tried to work on this and then abandoned it and just gave up, kind of threw it all back together. That may have been, you know, something that happened 30 years ago. Okay, let's see if we can get it out now. Grab the transformer here. Grab it this way. It's got these wires hanging here. Oh, I didn't do this wire. Now I got this radio in my hand. I have to cut a wire. Okay, I got the radio here. Put it up on the bench. There it is. Okay, I got to take a moment to get things set up here so we can take a better look at it. Okay, there it is. Well, has this been out of the cabinet? Maybe not, because look at the amount of dirt that's all around the outside here. Now it's been cleaned repeatedly in the middle over the years, the exposed part of the glass, but this suggests to me it's never been out of the cabinet, because who would leave it like this? Or it was out of the cabinet, people fiddled with it, stuck it back in the cabinet, my earlier story, and it's literally been sitting in terrible places since then, but it doesn't look that way. It looks, the cabinet's in good shape. I don't know, how do you get it this dusty? Wow. You have it in a wood shop or something like that. Radio in a wood shop. Oh! Yeah, I knew it was dirty, but wow. This is a real dust bunny here. Holy smokes. But the dust doesn't really mean anything. I mean, it just blows away and swept away. It's not just another way to beat down the price when you're at the yard sale. Look at this. Here's this spring is what is putting tension on the string. The string is of no use to me now. sometimes the string, can map out how the string lays on the radio, even though it's broken. And if you rush in and remove it, you'll lose a chance to see how the string is laid out. On the other hand, there's lots of diagrams. What I would caution against is just trying to figure it out yourself. Trying to figure out how it can go. And you might get down to that with some radios, but that's tricky. That's difficult. It's much easier to have a plan. So I think I'm just going to. What am I going to do with this? This is strange. Somebody's done some strange stuff here. The spring is on the wrong side. The spring should be inside here. The string is coming down through a proper hole in the wheel up here, but then it's pulled out through here and attached to the spring. Now, this is all things done by someone who really doesn't have a clue what's going on. It really looks kind of kiddish to me, like a kid did all this kind of stuff. Kid being, like a 12-year-old or something of that sort. I'm just going to cut the string here. I want to preserve the spring for use. It's a very weak spring. Doesn't put a lot of tension on. Just cut that like that. So the string goes around the bobbin, and I get to count how many times it's going around before I take it off. Now, I don't know if this is, something I had fiddled with it, but I can see what we're talking about down here. Once, twice, 3 times. Let's count that again. 1, 2, 3, 3 times around and up. It's quite a few times around. I have to get the string out because eventually a new string is going in. So. It's just running everywhere here. So when I'm working with the string here, I can assess it. I mean, I'm not going to use this string, but I can feel that certain areas are stiffer than other areas. I don't know if I can show that or not. I don't think so. So I'm looking at the way it's curving here. Well, see? There's a weak spot right there. Very stiff. String shouldn't stick out like that, I don't think. Strings. So something has happened to the string to make it stiff. Now look, somebody's tied it here. And this is just not the way this is done. And what could happen is the string breaks and you lose a couple inches. And so this could be somebody trying to accommodate a slightly shortened string. So somebody was trying. I don't want to say too much. That person could watch this video. Wouldn't that be something? Hey, I'm the kid who did that 30 years ago. Okay, so there's the string. Look at this. There's a knot in the middle of it. So somebody tried to, maybe the string broke and they tried to tie it back. Looks like they tried to make the knot as, as ugly as possible, really. Yeah, good attempt. No, not going to work. I have new string I can put on. Why don't we deal with this crazy wire stuff now and get it out of the way. So where'd this wire come from? This super thin wire. What's he done here? He's maybe it just got caught there. Probably just got caught. So there it is. So he's attached this wire to the antenna terminal. Just holding it up in the air here, and it goes up, comes down to a input. There's not soldering. It's just on there. It's just, and this feels more like steel wire than copper. I don't know. Okay, that's gone. Okay, the radio's already feeling better. It's going. Hey, the doctor's here. Now, I don't think of myself as a doctor. No, I think we can read the sticker now for the first time. Let me get my other camera here. We're going to read it. We're going to read it and find out what we can about it here. Okay. Licensed by Canadian Radio Patents Limited only for the non-commercial reception of public radio telephone broadcast. Radio telephone. Why didn't you just say radio? Patented in 1913 to 1930 inclusive. Ooh, that's dating this way back there, but oh, wait a minute. Number 1941. Is that a number or a date? I think that's a number. Mohawk Radio Limited, Toronto, Canada. Canadian Electrical Society Association. Canadian Electrical Something Association approval. I don't see that very much. CES. There's a different organization, so maybe this does go back a little further. Model number 14B. Serial number 8847 something. I think they did 88,000 of these. Can that be possible? 80 watts, that gives you an idea of what a big radio like this draws. That's a fair bit of current. Considering the way things are today, in the old day, that's a 60 watt light bulb, same as a 60 watt light bulb is nothing in your house, because your house is full of 60s and 100 watt light bulbs. An 80 watt radio is nothing, but today this kind of stands out as a bit of an energy hog. Or you consider it a poor room heater. Well, we got this guy going, this camera. Let's go over here. Here we can read these signatures. So little did that person know, who signed it, that we'd all be looking at his signature in 2023. I mean, really, it's a mind blower. Mechanical, electrical, chassis, and final. The guy wouldn't put his name there. Okay, what else is on here? So we have an external plug. This would be for driving your record player. Here's a shot of that cable. Yeah, see, it's not in very good shape, is it? You wouldn't want to plug that in. That's a speaker plug. And we have these terminals here, the mystery terminals, with a red dot and an orange dot. Well, it could be phono input. Because, it has this. And we might find when we look at the front, there's something that says phono at some point. Okay, looking at just the amount of dust. Look at this. Wow, that's just a really big pile of dust buildup. These are all the adjustments for doing the alignment. If you notice, they're all at the back corner of the radio, where you can get your hand in when the radio is back in its cabinet. So you can do all this fiddling around here. Fantastic. These guys you have to tune on the bench, because there's one adjustment up here, the other adjustment is down underneath. So this has to be up on a bench to do the IF transformers. So once again, looking at the rather horrifying capacitor there, oh my gosh. Now, maybe that even indicates it's been sitting in this tuning position for a long time, and the flat surface here has collected dust. It's not like it's been opened recently. And how could you? If the string is broken, the only way to make this turn is to reach in from around behind and turn the wheel by hand. And can we turn by hand? Perfect. Yeah, turns easily. The odd radio, especially very old ones, this can become frozen due to problems in the bearing here. This has got ball bearings in it. It's not going to happen here. But plates are not bent, and then look at, there's 3 sections. You know what that says? Good radio. Definitely. One of these is going to be the local oscillator section, and see, all 3 of them are exactly the same size, which I guess is easier in manufacturing. Because it's all the same size, one of these, the one that drives the local oscillator, probably has a series capacitor, which in other radios, they eliminate the series capacitor and they make the set of plates smaller. And that apparently does the same thing. Here's an adjustment right here. This is a capacitor. See, the adjustment appears to be up. The lock appears to be lifted up. It's stuck. There's an antenna coil. Would you believe that's a capacitor under all that dust there? That's probably enough dust to cause problems. I don't know. Dust? Is it conductive? There's another adjustment hidden back there. It also looks like it's lifted up. That bottom part, the collar, looks like a bell shape. That's actually a lock, and you screw it down, you lock this thing. You unscrew it, you lift it up, that releases the lock, and then you can pull this shaft up and down. Twist and pull, twist and push. And that's actually a trimmer capacitor. This style, maybe this has a much larger capacitance range. I don't know why they chose this style. It seems kind of weird to me, but you know, as opposed to this kind of thing. But could be the range is much greater there. Okay, a great big tube here. This is probably the output tube. This big guy in the middle of things. He's right in the middle of things. These radios have a characteristic problem. We're getting here to the magic eye. So here's the filthy magic eye. Wow. My camera fix itself here. I hate autofocus when I'm leaving it on autofocus. So there's a magic eye tube. This is probably dull, because what would happen is people would operate these radios, and this eye has a short life, and we get duller and duller, and then one day somebody would say, gee, should we put a new tube in there? And the answer would be, what for? We don't want a tube. It's okay. The radio still works even though this tube is gone maybe completely blank, and it doesn't affect the operation of the radio. So why spend the money? So the result is a lot of these radios have dead magic eye tubes because the owners let them go dead. This is the filter capacitor here. That's the speaker wire cables coming out. This looks like the rectifier tube here. You know, how thin the plate is inside. They're trying to make the distance between the plate and the heater as small as possible. As small as they can get away with. And more tubes. So what's going on here? This was the loose can. When we look underneath, oh my gosh, if the guy was hooking up wires in irrational ways up on top here, what's going to have happened underneath? Ooh, well, we're going to find out. We're going to find out. Hey, over here, we're going to find out. Right now, I can tip this radio this way, I can tip it that way. This is a good tipper. It has this corner, all the wheels sticking out. Oh, maybe that. Well, it's pretty hard to break this off because there's a screw going down there. We're going to find out what happened. Okay, I'm going to put the light here. Put it there. I see the transformers here, so this is the heavy part of the radio. I'm going to put that down. Heavy part down. Oh, it's got this bracket. Gotta get rid of this bracket. So the other bracket I left in the radio, but this one, I left in. That's a nut. That's a nut and a washer. Screw. So this has to be mounted. If you want to put this back on, it's not even necessary really, as long as you have the other bracket. The place is full of dust. You gotta put this bracket on before you put the radio back in, or you know, drive in a self-tapping screw and just. Okay, that's the plan there. I'm sure I'll forget the plan. Here we go. I mean, who knows how long this radio is going to be on my bench? Might be today. Might be ending. As soon as you look under here, that might be the end of it. No, it won't be. Perfect. This is very, very, very stable. I'm going to get rid of this cord because I don't think I'm going to be using it. Get rid of it. Don't think I'll put that in my spare parts box. I think I'll put it in this round garbage can here. Here it is! What do you see in there that makes you shrink back in fear? I think what we need is just a little more light here. I think I can fool my cameras if I do this. There. Well, I'm looking it over here. So clearly there's lots of original parts. All these capacitors are original. There's many of them in here. But I see some weird things. Okay, so I see a capacitor up here that looks different than all the rest. This is a molded capacitor. It's cleaner than the others. That could be a replacement. See, this capacitor here, the connection is made to a piece of wire and it's just hanging out here. We'll look at that with a close-up camera, but it doesn't even look soldered. But it probably is soldered, but it doesn't look soldered. There's a resistor going right to the chassis here. Now, I also want to look for some gross damage. Like there's been a fire. I'm looking at all these coils up here. Let's put the close-up camera to work here. And you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to freeze the focus on the close-up camera so it doesn't annoy us with automatic changes. You know, because the camera, as you know, they hunt a lot when they try to focus. Okay, yeah, switch cameras now. There's a quick journey back 460 million years. This thing was alive 460 million years ago. Just happened to have it on my bench. Okay, we'll start in the top left corner and just work our way through this thing. Looking for anything disturbing. Got the focus just a little too close, so I'm going to change the focus setting here. We'll make it back about like this. Okay, just 1 second here. Okay, so it was like 3 seconds. There we go. Back up here again. So this is the bottom of one of those shaft capacitors. I suppose they have a proper name of some sort. Up here, this part at the top, I can't really get my finger on. That's the tuning. Let's see if you get. Well, I can look out here and see what it is. It's the tuning. And now you get a good look at the at this shape here. While we're here, so see how it's a U-shaped valley here. It's not square corners. So if you picture a string in here, and as you turn this, the string will walk one direction or the other. Well, it'll walk quite a ways. In some radios, this piece is quite wide. But if you let it walk too far, it'll walk until the angle is so bad it'll fall off the big wheel here. So you want to restrict that, but yet the string has to have a place to go, if you know what I'm thinking, or you know what I'm getting at. So in this case, when the string walks up the valley edge here, as you turn this, the slip in the string on here, as tiny as it might be, is enough to allow the whole string to settle back. So instead of climbing up and over, it'll climb up a ways, and then the additional string tension will cause this to start sliding back. So cross over and then get to the other side, slide back. So that sliding is very important. If it doesn't slide back, if the string stays up, wrapped up high on the shoulder here, it will fall over itself. It will double over and tie like a half knot. And then as you turn it further, you'll feel the string tightening up tremendously, suddenly like locking up, like this. If you keep turning that thing, you'll break that string, probably. Maybe not, probably. If you work it back and forth, you may cause the string to slide back. So I'm telling you this because you could be looking at one of these radios at a yard sale, and all you can see is this, right? You can't tell what's going on inside. So just by turning this, you can get a feel for what's going on inside. And these radios, they can become very difficult to tune simply from lack of lubrication where the shaft goes through the panel there. So we've got a little WD-40 on there. And you see this thing sticks out the back, because if it didn't, then this thing would be as wobbly as can be. So they have the shaft extended, the sleeve extended with the shaft inside to give it more. Okay. Because guess what? This is what you grab onto. This is what you feel when you tune the radio. This is what somebody's going to do when they're going to buy this radio in the store. They're going to go up and go like this. They better feel nice. Some radios, they put a heavy weight back here, and so you feel like it just makes it feel much smoother. The very, very heavy flywheel back there. But, ooh, lots to say about simple stuff. Okay. We're going to go in here. Some parts hard to get to. Is that a capacitor way up in there? I don't know. Could be. Again, we're looking for gross damage, stupid stuff. Here's that capacitor I suspect somebody put in. So let's look at the connections. Well, it appears close to this terminal in the front here, but it's actually hooked up to a terminal in the back. And this is just going down to the chassis, and they managed to solder it right to the chassis. Let's get a good look at that. That's going to tell the story as to whether this is a replacement or not. Back. Well, it looks pretty original. Okay, I don't know. It sure looks like a replacement to me. Yeah, we'll move on here. Here's a bunch of trimmers accessed through the side of the chassis. Again, you can get at these when the radio's in the cabinet, if the cabinet's big enough. And that cabinet over there is a whopper. Okay, and these are the different coils. Right here's another capacitor right here. Oh, he's loose. Wow, that's a bit of a problem right there. Okay, moving on. This might be loose because of fooling around with it up above. Using the 12-year-old story. A 12-year-old did stuff to this radio. Not under here. I don't think the 12-year-old took the radio out of the chassis. Another tuning adjustment. Sometimes I tell people, European-style radios, they have a lot more parts in them than North American radios of a similar vintage. And there's a lot of parts in this radio. There's nothing in here that's screaming out at me, this radio's shot. That's really what I'm concerned about, is that there's something so seriously wrong here that I need to find it now before I do a bunch of work. Look at the jumble of wires down there. I bet you these guys are pretty stiff. Oh yes. And these are all stiffened up. This means working on this radio, you've got to work on it without moving any of these wires. If you start moving them, the insulation will crack on them, and in the worst case, expose the conductor. Some of these are cloth covered. A lot of these are cloth covered, which is actually a tremendous advantage. The cracked insulation may not be, a rubber insulation inside may not be so important. On-off switch there. Is that the filter? That's the filter capacitor there, because you can see it towering above there. Oh, what's that soldering there? Does that quite look like... It doesn't have the look of being done in a factory. It looks like what it is that they've soldered the... there's a terminal strip here, and they've soldered the foot. I can't really... Or they've soldered the bottom of this coil. Hard to say. Very hard to solder onto the chassis on a radio like this. And the reason for that is the chassis draws the heat away so fast. You need a pretty hunkin' soldering iron to pump it up. There's a great big capacitor there. Probably involved with the screen circuit in the radio. And we've got made in Canada capacitors. There's that screw right down here now. Right down here. So the nut is missing off it. So luckily, you see all the wires are all connected there. If somebody had abandoned the project after finding out the IF was ruined, they wouldn't resolder these things back on. How that nut came off, is that the nut right there under the piece of wire? No, I don't think so. Cut that? No, it's a piece of dirt. The nut may be sitting in the radio cabinet. Maybe. Well, let's take a look. Let's take a look for that. Okay, we're just going to switch cameras for a moment. Now I can certainly find another nut, and I really should. You shouldn't leave those. You shouldn't leave those guys nutless. That's not nice. Oh, great big piece. Hey, look at this. Yeah, look at this. There, the nut. I found it. I also noticed, look at a big sheet of asbestos I hadn't even noticed. Okay, so I'll be doing away with that sheet of asbestos. This one's totally loose. Yeah. You certainly don't want to be fooling around with those sheets. You don't want to be folding them or tearing them. Don't tear them. If they're fixed into the radio, you need to remove the fixtures. Usually it's staples. Take them out very carefully. Do everything you can to stop the fibers from coming free, which is really the concern. And also, I think a small exposure, as we're exposed to everything all day long in our lives these days. Small exposure is not going to do anything. Like having that sheet behind me doesn't freak me out at all. The proper disposal, by the way, you take a sheet like here, where I live, you take a sheet like that, it's industrially unimportant. It's too small a piece to be worried about. So from an industrial point of view, they're really thinking about asbestos insulation on HVAC systems and stuff like that. That's really what they're concerned about when it comes to contact with asbestos in a maintenance type environment. I will take that sheet and I will carefully put it into a plastic grocery bag, which are becoming scarce here in Canada, and then I will throw it in the regular garbage, and away it goes. And that's the proper way to do it here. I don't know about where you live, but I imagine that's considered a unimportant volume of asbestos there. You certainly don't want to generate a pile of asbestos dust here in your shop where you're working or something like that. So you might want to do that outdoors in a garage or somewhere outside of your shop when you're fiddling with it. Now I'm lucky that sheet is completely loose there, so I'll be able to just pick it up carefully and stick it in a bag, and out she goes. How far did we get with the close-up camera? What happened there? Oh, that's right. I found the missing nut and got distracted. Okay, let's undistract. Carry on here. We're almost done this close-up examination. So a big resistor there. I think it's 10,000 ohms. And still don't know how that nut came off. It may have just worked its way off. How would it work its way off? Because this radio was on a train? No, come on. I don't know how that got off without somebody taking it off. Very, very odd. So, lots more capacitors down here. Lots of made in Canada stuff. So it looks like this terminal has been tack welded to the chassis back here. Well, probably using electricity, right? With a tack welder, is there such a thing as that? Well, I left my ham radio running this morning. I usually turn the volume down on it when I start these videos, but I left it turned up by accident. I have a little portable here in my shop, and that was from the local ham club repeater here in Aurelia. Well, I didn't see anything here that is making me shrink away from working on this radio. There's nothing here. Next question is, could you turn this thing on? Oh, what is that? Well, that's the old power cord there, which is shot. This is quite typical too. They bring the cord in and then attach it to a plug. This is an excellent place to terminate these two wires because the plug is fixed in place. And then the radio wires, power wires, continue on from there. Some of these will go right into the radio and they work their way up to the switch and other stuff. But when they have this, spare outlet, it's a perfect spot to do exactly what they did here. Well, what am I not looking at? Hey, let's look at the very front of the radio. And I'm going to turn it right side down. I always get a kick out of looking at these dial faces because they name a lot of cities. You need a magnifying glass to read that stuff. Really? How could you possibly read it? I even have to adjust the focus on the camera here. I gotta maximize the focus so we can get up as close as possible. Why would they do that? Okay, what can we read here? New York, London, Berlin, Philadelphia, New York, Schenectady, in a short form, London. That's not London, Ontario. 13H? What does that say down there? I'm a little too shaky. Let's see if I can just steady my hand up here for a minute. Not really. 13K. 13. I don't know what that is. 13M, 13 meter band, 13 meter band. Okay, I do know what it is. So you see how they have a little mark here, a little raised area? So that's telling you if you put your pointer in here and tune in this area, you'll be tuning the 13 meter band, which is a European shortwave band, today anyway. So that's how they've marked the bands. They put little raised areas. Whoop. Oh. Well, I don't know what they're doing with these raised areas here. They're marking the station. 16 meter band. Well, the whole thing is a 16 meter band. 17, 18. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. This covers a couple of bands. Don't know what they're up to. Let's look at the next one down. It's a 19 meter band. This is a true band spread. So see, they're going up to 15,350, but this band actually goes all the way up to 15,700 or 800 now, and this guy won't make it. There are stations out there that this radio can't reach anymore. So here, what can we tune in? We can tune in Budapest, Schenectady. Why does anybody want to listen to Schenectady anyway? London, Rome. There we are, Rome. Hey, you can still tune in Rome today. You can tune in the Vatican. The Vatican has a shortwave signal. They put out in different languages, and probably many languages, probably in English, and you can listen to Vatican radio on shortwave if you wish. Philadelphia, Belgrade. How about that, eh? Belgrade. Pittsburgh. Is that Pittsburgh, Ohio? Is Pittsburgh in Ohio? Pittsburgh. I don't know what that little bit is there. Berlin. Guatemala. Really? Tokyo. Very hard to hear Tokyo. That's on the other side of the planet. Boston. Of course, you know today, for instance, Radio China can be easily heard in North America because they broadcast in North America. They have transmitters that they've booked with other countries. I think Cuba typically, and they use the Cuban transmitters and pay them some money. Boston, Vatican. There we are, Vatican, right there. Even back here, they were doing that. Some of the very, very first radio broadcasters on AM radio, 1922, 1923, were churches, religious broadcasters. So we got Panama, we got Stockholm, Boston, London, Berlin. Well, what is that? Thinking. Thinking. I've never heard of that place. Sounds Chinese to me. Tokyo, Rome, New York. Park? What's that? Park? I don't know. London. Paris. That's Paris. Moscow. There it is, Moscow. I listened to Radio Moscow a lot when I was a kid. Listened to their 5-year plan. Szechuan. We eat food that's called Szechuan, don't we? 31 meter band. Where are we going now? Guatemala, Paris, New York. We've been to these places. Rome, Berlin, Philadelphia, short form, London, Boston, Schenectady again. What is with Schenectady? Tokyo, Hong Kong. News in Hong Kong is not good these days. Mexico. And what are we down to now? We're in band B. We're in a very low frequency band now. 120 meters is what that says. They're going to tell you that you can pick up aircraft here. Aircraft. No, you can't pick up aircraft there. 90 meter band. Amateurs. Yeah, you can still pick them up there, but it'll be single sideband in many cases. You really won't be able to hear what's being said here. 60 meter band. 49 meter band. Something other meter band. Lots of bands on here, but no cities. No, you're not going to pick up any cities. No cities there, and then we get down to the AM here, which of course they don't list stations. Now I've been doing a lot of AM listening lately, and because I have a new antenna arrangement and greatly reduced noise interference in my house, I've been able to pick up an AM radio station on virtually every channel on the AM band. I think there's maybe 10, 15 frequencies I have not received a signal I can identify. And that's mostly it's all North American AM radio. Okay, that's a tour of the glass. I enjoyed that. I get a kick out of that part of the whole deal. Okay, well, I think we're probably done for today. I gotta think about this, how to approach it. Still have to get the speaker to come out. I gotta get the push buttons out of the radio. They all have to be connected here. You have to have the. You may not need the push buttons connected in this radio. I'm not sure of that, but you certainly need the speaker plugged in. The same speaker that comes with the radio plugged in. Okay, well that is it for today. So thanks a lot for watching. Hope you got a kick out of that. Tomorrow we'll start actually doing some work on this thing. See ya.